ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome you all to this Bhagavadgita course. Today we will be discussing chapter 8. So this chapter 8 Bhagavadgita, the chapter is named as Attaining the Supreme, and it has total 28 shlokas, and based on the different subject of discussion we can divide these 28 shlokas into 4 sections. Yeah. So this chapter, the first section is shloka 1 to 4, and this section, the chapter starts with Arjuna asking 7 questions to Krishna, and we'll see what are those questions. And especially the last question, what Arjuna asks, this chapter is based on, the context of this chapter is based on the discussion, the answer given by Krishna to that last 7th question. Okay, so these are all Arjuna's questions. Read out the shloka. Shloka 1. Arjuna uvacha kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adibhutam cha kim proktam adidaivam kim uchyate. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is a self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. Shloka 2. Adiyagna katam kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale chakatam gneyosi niyatatmabhihi. Who is the Lord of sacrifice and how does he live in the body, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? So we'll go one by one questions. Totally 7 questions is what Arjuna is asking. So first, Arjuna asks, what is Brahman? Now, Brahman has many meanings. Depending on different context, it has different meanings. But here, in this context here, Krishna is saying, Brahman means self or the soul. He says, indestructible, transcendental living entity is called as Brahman. Now, what is indestructible? Already in chapter 2 we saw the Atma or soul is ever existing. It does not have any end. It cannot be killed. We saw how it cannot be cut by any weapons, or it cannot be dried up by the wind, or it cannot be the water also cannot take away the soul. So like this we were discussing, right? So that is what is indestructible means, which means the original constitution cannot be changed. That is something called as indestructible. For you, if you take body, the body constitution of the body keeps changing, right? So we all, if you take a photo picture of yours 25 years back, we look completely different, although we are the same person, right? So which why the external body is changing, but here the soul, the constitution of the soul doesn't change. That is why it is called as indestructible. And second one is transcendental. Transcendental means because we are part and parcel of the Lord is completely a transcendental person, and we also, since the soul being part and parcel of the Lord, we are also transcendental. I mean, the original nature of the soul. The soul is actually does not, the other meaning of transcendental is it does not come under the control of sense gratification, right? So that is what is called as transcendental. Now based on, like I said, based on different contexts, Brahman has different meanings, right? Brahman can also mean Bhagavan. Even for the Lord sometimes they say Brahman. We say Parabrahman, right? Parabrahma or Parabrahmam. Parabrahma means the Paramatma or the Super Soul or the Supreme Lord. So when the Lord is called Parabrahman, in that terms the Atma is called Brahman, which makes sense, right? So he is the Supreme Brahman and we are the normal Brahman. Sometimes even for the material world, somewhere in the Shastras it is referred as Brahman. And even in Srimad Bhagavatam it is said that the absolute truth can be understood in three ways, which is Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. In that, the first stage, Brahman, means it is the light, the effulgence of the Lord, is also known as Brahman. So this is the first question which Arjuna asks, what is Brahman? So in simple terms, Brahman means the self or the soul, we the living entities, who are indestructible and transcendental in nature. Second question he asks, what is Adhyatma? Adhyatma means the eternal nature of the living entity, the eternal nature of the self. Now, who are the living entities? Who are we? We are all part and parcel of the Lord. We are all part and parcel of Krishna. So what is our eternal nature, which means what is our real occupation? Since we are part and parcel of Krishna, our original nature is that we are all meant to be the servants of the Lord. That is why the Shastra says, Jivera Swarupai Krishnera Nitya Das. Dasa. We are all meant to be the Das. So we are all meant to serve the Lord. So our original nature is to serve the Lord, because we are all part and parcel of the Lord. So since we are part and parcel of the Lord, we are meant to serve. That is when it gets complete. Only then our lives will have meaning. For example, you can take an example of a screw. A screw, if it is lying down separately, will it have any value? No, nobody will even care about it, right? Maybe if it is somewhere lying on the road. But if the same screw, when will it have value? When it is fitted to a machine, right? It looks very tiny and small, but then it is supporting that big machine to work. If the screw is not there, or if it is very loose, the machine is not in a good position, good condition to work. So that is how the screw is like we soul. No? When we will have value in our life is when when we serve the Supreme Lord. That is what is called as Adhyatma. And it is our duty to serve the Lord. It is not that sometimes, for example, there is a government servant. Now a government, so whoever is working under the government or a government employee gets all sorts of benefits from the government, right? And one fine day, if the employee decides that okay, I am taking a VR and I am no more, I'm just giving a VR and going away. I am no more going to work under the government. So will government be at loss? No, the government will still go on. It is only the employee who is keeping away, who has taken the VR and who's no more a government servant. But that does not mean that the government will not go on. So that is how similarly, if we are not serving Krishna, it is not a loss to Krishna. It is our own loss. If we are not serving Krishna, it is our own loss. So that is what is, because for Krishna, you see, there are so many servants. Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrama Sevyamanam. He has Sahasra Lakshmis. There are thousands of Lakshmis who is serving him. There is Balram who is serving him. There is Anantasesha, Lakshmana who is serving them. So it's not that he is shortage of people and he is asking, okay, why don't you all come? please, I am not getting anyone, so why don't you come, I will give you some salary. No, Krishna is not asking for all these things. He is self-sufficient. So it is, but who's at the losing end? We will be losing if we don't serve the Lord. So that is why right now what has happened is we are engaged in serving our body. Now we saw what Adhyatma means, eternal nature of the living entity. And what is the eternal nature of the living entity? It is the eternal nature of the living entity is to serve the Supreme Lord. But right now we are engaged in serving our body. So that is maybe what we can consider this, that is the temporary nature. So whenever we are in this material world, although the original nature is to serve the Supreme Lord, we kind of get engaged in the temporary nature, which is serving our bodies, giving a lot of time to our bodies. This is due to ignorance, is what Gita says. When we are engaged in the service of the Lord, we come under the direct protection of the Lord. Otherwise, what will happen? When we serve, this is the difference. When we serve the Supreme Lord, we come under the protection of the Lord. But when we serve our bodies, we come under the protection of, or we come under the surveillance of Maya. This is like an example. We all know pet dogs, right? There are a lot of dogs. Now, there are some dogs at home which is under where people are looking after the dogs. The owners are there, they take care of them very nicely. So these are little bit, among the dogs, they are little bit lucky to stay in a house. Sometimes they have their own bedrooms and they also go in cars. So we have seen, right? So there, on the other side, there are street dogs. Okay, and one fine day the dog catchers will come. So when the dog catchers will come, all these street dogs he will take and go. But whenever he finds this pet dog which has been bought up at home, right, he doesn't touch, he will not touch, because the owner is there near the dog and the dog will have a belt and they'll have some license, he will not touch it. So that is how, because similarly when we are completely under the protection of the Lord, that is when we become his devotees and serve the Lord, we are always safe. The Maya, the dog catcher's Maya will not touch us. But when we are completely away, we are just wandering here and there like the street dogs which are without serving the Supreme Lord, then we always come under the attack of the dog catchers, right? So that is how we'll have to make sure that we have to serve the Lord, right? And irrespective of whether we serve the Lord or whether we serve Maya, one thing what we can understand is, either way we are serving someone. Even if someone is not very spiritual or even if he doesn't believe in God, nobody can say that I am very independent in nature, I am the controller, nobody can say. Some people will be serving their bosses at office, some people will be serving someone else, they might have, when they go to school, the teachers will be controlling them, they will be serving. And some people, one or the other way, right, we will be like, in terms of somebody will be serving the family, somebody will be serving the nation, somebody will be serving the society, some or the other way, we are serving someone. Nobody can say that if no one is there, at least at the home, pets also will be serving. We can see mornings sometimes the owners of the house, they bring the dog. That guy is feeling, I am with a very big dog, I am like a very big person. But actually he is the one who is serving the dog, because wherever the dog has to pass stool, wherever the dog has to pass urine, this guy has to wait till that dog finishes its business, and sometimes he is required to clean also. I mean, here in India they have not bought such rules, but in the US or the West, right, if you go out with a dog and if the dog poops, then the owner has to clean it up, otherwise it's a fine for the owner. So actually the owner is serving the dog here, but he thinks he is the master, he is having a dog like that. So some or the other way, whether we are surrendered to the Lord, whether we are serving the Lord or whether we are serving other people, some or the other way we are serving, some or the other way we are under the control. So this itself proves that our original nature is to serve. That is what is Krishna is saying here. Adhyatma. Adhyatma means the eternal nature of the living entity, which is to serve the Supreme Lord. Okay. Third one, Arjuna asks, what is karma? Now karma we have already discussed. Karma is nothing but the action which is performed by the living entities for the development of the material bodies, is what Krishna is saying here. For example, our normal education, it's an activity, and why we do it, and because we want to progress in our material life. So this is kind of a karmic activity. Or where say for example, if somebody does not have a son, and in those days when they did not have son, they used to do putra kameshti yoga. No, this is putra kameshti, this one yagna, yeah, putra kameshti yagna or yaga. So then this is a karma, this is an activity, action. So this is what is called as karma. Next Arjuna asks, what is adibhuta? Now adibhuta means material nature. Material nature means it is always constantly changing. We all see, right? What is the constant thing in this world? Yeah, change is the constant thing, because every time there is a change. You cannot say anything is perfect here, right? The other day someone was telling this whole area around 15-20 years back was full of some guava groves or something. So there was nothing, no buildings at all. And those days the land cost used to be very few hundreds of rupees. And today it's grown up like this. And I gave an example of how we look. Maybe don't even have to go to 25 years back. Just if you say 10 or 15 years back, we all looked very different. Everything is constantly changing. Nothing is staying still in this world. So that is what is, and the biggest change what this material nature goes through is that creation, maintenance and destruction. The material world gets created and then it's maintained for some time, then it gets destroyed. And next one, the fifth question what Arjuna asks is Adi Deva. What is Adi Deva? Now Adi Deva is the universal form of the Lord. We will discuss about the universal form of the Lord more in chapter 11 of Bhagavadgita. So where Krishna, he shows his Vishwarupa, universal form to Arjuna, and in this universal form Arjuna sees that there are all planetary systems, the sun, moon, stars, all the demigods, Devi Devatas, everyone is included within this universal form. So this universal form is called as Adi Deva. And the sixth one is Adi Yagna. Adi Yagna is nothing but the super soul in the heart of every living entity is called as Adi Yagna. Super soul means Paramatma. Paramatma who is staying, the Lord is staying as Paramatma within every living entity, every atom, organic and inorganic, living and non-living in this material world. So, and this super soul or Paramatma is called as Adi Yagna. Now, last question Arjuna asks, how can one engaged in devotional service know Krishna at the time of death? So it's a very important question. So Arjuna is asking, those who are engaged in devotional service, how can he remember Krishna during the time of death? Right? So it's not only a question relevant for Arjuna, but he is asking this question for all of us. This is very important question. What is our mindset? What should be our mindset during the time of death? A lot of people, if not most of the people, they don't think about this. Oh, why should I worry about these things? Why should I worry about death? Right? But whether we worry about death or whether we like death or not, death likes us, because death comes for everyone. Nobody can escape. Someone can say, what, no, it's all, I don't believe in Bhagavadgita or whatever. Whether one believes in Shastras or Bhagavad-gita or not, we are all seeing in front of our eyes, right? Nobody is staying permanent, nobody is Shashwata here. Everyone is going through death. And there are so many different phases of life which we have idea about. But this one phase of life, which is death, is something which we don't know. Because there is no one who is coming and telling their experience. No, death is like this or like that. So it is very important for us, intelligent beings, to understand what is death and what happens during the time of death. And that is what is Arjuna asking here. And the answer for this Krishna gives in the next section. Right? So first section we saw shloka 1 to 4, 7 different questions asked by Arjuna. So first one he asked, what is Brahman, which means the soul, the living entity self. Second he asked, what is Adhyatma, that's the original nature of the living entity, which is to serve the Supreme Lord because he is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Third one he has asked, what is fruitive activities, which means what is karma. That is nothing but the activity or action performed by the living entities for the development of their material bodies. And then he says what is Adibhuta, which is nothing but the material nature which is constantly changing. Then what is Adidaiva? Adidaiva is nothing but the universal form of the Lord. Then Adi Yagna, which is Paramatma. And finally he asks, what should one do or what should one remember during the time of death? And for this we will see the answer. Next we will go to shloka section 5 to 8, shloka 5 to 8, and this section is called death, or in other words we call it as the final exam. Okay, we'll read out the shloka. Antakale cha mamheva smaran muktva kalevaram yaprayati sabadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayaha. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Okay, so here Krishna says, what was Arjuna's question? What should one think or what should one remember during the time of death? And here Krishna says, one who quits his body remembering me at once attains my nature. So he is very clearly saying that at the time of death one is supposed to remember Krishna. Now death is like a final exam, and to pass this, if one has to pass this exam, what is the criteria? Very simple, we will have to remember Krishna. Whoever does not remember Krishna at the time of death, it means he has failed his exam. Which exam? The exam of this life, right? And we'll discuss more about this topic. And from this we can understand that whatever we remember at the time of death, that is what which decides our next life. And this Krishna confirms in shloka 6. He says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajantyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sadatad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Now this is very important. Most of the people, especially in this Kali Yuga, they think about 2-3 things whenever they are going to die. One is they always think about their wealth. Oh, what will happen to my wealth? Who will be the maintainer after I die? What will happen to my bank balance? Will be there someone who will take care of it? What will happen to my property? What will happen to my land? Right? This is one kind. And some people think, oh, what will happen to my dear and near ones? What happens to my family? Who will take care of them? No, like that. These are the two more important things which people they generally think during the time of death. And Krishna says, whatever state you are there, and you will think, if somebody thinks, oh, what will happen to my pet dog? Who will take care of my Jimmy? Then what you will do is, in next life for that Jimmy you will be born as a son or daughter. You will come as a kuti dog in that same house. So this is what Bhagavadgita says. Somebody eats more than necessary. A human being is supposed to eat to a limit. If you eat too much, then he will become an elephant in next life. If someone sleeps more, he will become a bear. If somebody steals something from different houses, he becomes a rat. Shastras also say, whenever you go to a spiritual function and you go attend the function but you come without honoring prasadam, eating prasadam, that time also you will become a rat. Somebody does not cover his body too much, wears very small dresses, exposing their bodies, they become trees and plants in their next lives. So like this, so we all know where all these movie stars are going to be, next lives, right? So anyways, it says, whatever we remember at the time of death, that decides our next body, okay? So this is why we say life is a preparation and death is a examination. But here the problem is, for this exam there is no fixed schedule. In your school already the teacher 1 month, 6 months back before only they will give you a schedule. Monday science, then 2 days gap, then mathematics, like this. But here the beauty of this exam is that there is no schedule. It is not a scheduled exam. It is like a surprise test. It can come at any time. Anytime we have to be prepared. So normal scheduled examination itself we will not study. It is very difficult to study. Just imagine about surprise test. So surprise test means we will have to put little more efforts. So anyone in a classroom you step in, anytime the surprise test can come. So a good student is, he will not complain that teacher, why you did not give schedule, did not give the schedule. If you would have given the schedule I would have passed, but you gave surprise test, that's why I failed. A good student will not complain that. A good student is supposed to pass the examination at any moment. He has to expect this surprise test at any time, right? It can come at any time. And for this very reason, because death is a surprise test, for this very reason only we have to take up devotional service at the very early age. Now this is a common question which everyone gets. Hey, Bhagavadgita, spirituality, temple, this is all at the age of 60. Why you at the age, this is your very small age, young age, you need to go and enjoy your life, go out with your friends, why are you coming to temple, or why are they brainwashing the children, right? Prahlad Maharaj says, Kaumaram Acharet, you have to start your devotion right from Kaumara, from the age of 5. And why? This is the very reason. We really don't know how long we are going to live. Can somebody guarantee that I am going to live till 70 years, 80 years, 90 years? Today we can see at the news channels and there is death everywhere. We really don't have a control over it. Young people are dying. Okay, imagine we stay for 60, 70 years. With this nice, strong body, good atmosphere, lot of money, everything. In this atmosphere itself, we are not able to practice devotion. Do you think at the age of 60 with a stick, with back pain, leg pain, that problem, this problem, with all these diseases, would we think that we would be able to remember Krishna during that time? No, it is not possible. This is second reason. First reason is we don't even know whether we will live for so many years. Second, even if we live, we don't have the health, right? So it becomes very, very difficult for us to remember Krishna. So that is why we will have to remember it right from the young age. And third reason is, it is something that you practice from the very young age, only that will get carried. In Kannada they say, right, Gidavagi Baggadu, Maravagi Baggide. So it is very, very difficult when you can't, when it is as a plant, it's very easy for you to stretch that side and side, but when it grows as a tree, it is very difficult. And that is why you will have to practice. Who is better prepared for the exam? Is it a student who studies throughout the year, or is it a student who just final day, just one day before the exam turns pages and studies? Who is better prepared? Who studies throughout. Yes, maybe the student who studies by last day, last 2 days might pass the examination. He might get some good marks also, but he definitely can't be a topper, right? It's very difficult in most of the cases, because it is a student who always prepares well. And that is why this death, we have to, it's like our final exam, and we have to practice, we have to prepare right from our age. And this preparation is only the practice of devotional service, because like I said, all other stages in our life we are very well aware, right? We know what happens in our youth, or when we know what happens in a student's life, how the education goes. We know what happens in a family life. There are people who are already married, and they will come and tell their experiences. No, this is what marriage life is about. There are students who will come and share their experiences. This is what student life is about. Some people will come and share about their old ages, and about some people will come and share experiences about bringing up children. This is how children will be there. Now you'll have to bring up this way. Like that, everyone can share, but nobody can share their experiences about death, right? Can you imagine there? When you write, at least when you write your material examination, you can ask. You have an option of referring to previous year question papers. Now you can talk to your senior students, how was this exam, how is it, how I should prepare. Okay, take previous year's papers from last 5 years, prepare it. From around 50 to 60% will come from that only. We can make all these kind of preparation. But who is there? Where is the previous year paper, or where is the previous experience for death? Is somebody going and coming and telling you, hey, this is the experience? No. So it's a stage of life which we don't even know. So that is the reason our preparation should be much more stronger. It should be more stronger, and that is why we'll have to practice it. Practice that anyways. It comes in the next section. So now we'll go from shloka 9 to 22. Now Krishna is very clearly told at the time of death what one has to do. One has to remember Krishna. Now how can one remember Krishna? What he has to do to remember Krishna is what we will see in this section. Verse 14, 8.14. Ananya chetaha satatam yo mam smarati nityashaha tasyaham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yoginaha. Translation: for one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. So how can one remember Krishna? By constant engagement in devotional service. Not just to here and there. Oh, only on Janmashtami I will remember Krishna. Only on Janmashtami I will go to temple. Or only during Ekadashi I will remember Krishna. Or when certain days, maybe Monday or Saturday, whenever I go to my family temple, I will remember Krishna. No, it is not. Only during Shabarimala season I will put mala, follow everything. Other 11 months, no, I will not even go towards temple. Not like that. Krishna says constant. He uses the word constant. Constant engagement in devotional service. We must constantly practice. That is what is required, right? And in next shloka, Krishna says, what will happen if one constantly remembers him? So in shloka 8.15 and 16 he explains them. Mamupetya punarjanma dukalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gataha. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. So here Krishna says, those who have constantly engaged in devotional service, what will happen to them? They will attain me, and because they have attained me, they will never return to this material world. And he says, Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. We keep repeating, we keep repeating and discussing this statement right from chapter 1. This material world is Dukkhalayam ashashvatam, which means full of miseries and temporary. And this is a shloka where Krishna confirms this, right? And the next shloka he says, Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna mamupetyatu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death takes place. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Yeah. So here Krishna says, one who constantly engages in devotional service, he will attain me and he will never come back to this material world which is Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Now, why should we escape from this material world? Why is it Dukkhalayam ashashvatam? Right? We keep discussing, once you do devotional service, you will go to Vaikuntha Loka or Krishna Loka, or you will attain the Supreme Lord, which means you will not take another birth in the material world. Why is it so? Because Krishna here says it is a place of misery and non-permanent. If it is a place of misery and non-permanent, which means it is temporary, then why Krishna should create this place? Why? It is a place for punishment, it is a jail. So this material world is a jail. Just like this government, they have a prison house, right? We are all citizens and part of this government, and government has a prison house. And who are sent to this prison house? All the criminals who does not follow the law, who go against the law, right? These are the people who are sent to this prison house. So similarly, we are put into this material world, which is considered as a prison house, right? And whoever goes to prison house, do you think that okay, if that person is given nice one mobile phone, one AC room, one nice big TV, and he is given all kinds of 5-star facility, one good bed and everything, nice 5-star food, everything is given, will that person still would like to be in the jail? No, whatever facility you give, he will still think that okay, let me come out of the jail. Same is our situation here. In the material world already we are struggling, but we are trying to make ourselves more and more comfortable. We don't, our actual motto should be to come out of this jail, and that is why this material world is compared to jail. And what is the punishment? Punishment is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, birth, death, old age and disease. We will see why that is a punishment. Because birth means happy, no? Everyone sings happy birthday to you, it is happy moment, no? How is it a punishment? We will discuss that. Okay. Anyways, material world is considered as a jail, and the wall of the prison is considered as the modes of nature. And the jailer is considered as Maya Devi. So Maya Devi, Maya or illusion, it always keeps you. Maya is the external energy of the Lord, but still her work is to keep you away from Krishna. Her duty is that, just like a jailer in a jail, he is always looking. You cannot too much, if you try to act over smart, then you cannot get out of the jail. So who can come out of the jail? When he is very obedient, then maybe only then they will consider, okay, this person is very obedient, and then who follows every laws and rules and regulations of the jail very nicely, then he would be considered a good citizen. Similarly, this Maya Devi is like a jailer. She is always we are all under her surveillance. So only by serving the Lord we can come. And what are the walls of the jail? So in the jail, if you see, there are big walls, nobody can climb and come out very easily. So similarly, in this material world, the walls of the jails are the 3 modes of material nature. We are always under the control of Sattva Guna, Raja Guna and Tamo Guna. We are controlled by the 3 modes of material nature. And if we have to come out of the 3 modes of material nature, we saw in the previous week, we saw an example of the dog and the owner. No, if when we are friends with the owner, then the dog will not come and bite us. Otherwise, if we think that okay, I'll fight with the dog, then we are gone. Similarly, so we'll have to serve the Supreme Lord, surrender unto Him. Only then we can keep Maya away. We can keep the modes of material nature away. Right? And we saw this now. Anyways, we discussed that material world is like a jail, and the punishment is birth, death, and old age, disease. How is birth, death, old age, and disease is a punishment? Let us take one by one. Birth. Imagine you have been tied up. Your head, hands, legs, everything is tied up. You have put inside a gunny bag. That gunny bag is also tied up, and that gunny bag is filled with blood, pus, urine and stool. What will be your situation? Hell. So Prabhu is saying hell. Normally when you tie within the bag itself is difficult. In spite of this, blood, pus, urine, so difficult. We can't even stay for a moment. But that is the condition of the baby who grows up in the womb of the mother for 9 months. From the 3rd month, the baby gets the conscious. And for the next 6-7 months, the baby is just struggling. And the mother will say, I feel like eating molaga bhaji today. No, chilli bhaji. So tasty. And the mother will eat all kind of spicy food. And that spice is again affecting the child, and the child will cry, and in the pain it will kick the walls of the mother, and then the mother will feel happy. My child is reciprocating. The child is actually struggling inside. Right? So this is the condition. Birth is not, we may think it's that we have forgotten these things. Does anyone remember how we were inside the womb of the mother? That is the mercy of Krishna. He is making us to forget these things. That is one of the reasons we don't forget our previous lives. Just imagine we remember our previous lives. Maybe in our previous life we were pigs. We all know what pig will eat, right? So just imagine you remember all those things. It will be so abominable. That is why Krishna, out of his merciful nature, he doesn't give, he gives us that remembrance. Forgetfulness. Mata smritir jnanam apohanamscha. I am the remembrance, at the same way I am also the forgetfulness, Krishna says. So that is why birth is very, very difficult. All the worms in the stomach, everything affects the child, right? And we all, after the 9 months, when child 10 months comes out, we all sing happy birthday to you. And actually it is said that, it's a long topic we can discuss later, it is actually said that the child actually prays intensely within the womb of the mother, prays to the Lord that somehow get me out. All these lives I was struggling, I was not even knowing, remembering you, but I'll promise you that I will definitely remember you and make sure that I become your devotee. So child is pleading. The moment a child comes out, it forgets everything. And somebody comes and asks, Prabhu, chant Hare Krishna, Mataji chant Hare Krishna. Hey, what? No other word for you. No, why are you going Krishna Rama? There is no God, nothing. The very same baby which was crying in the womb, praying, pleading to the Lord, he becomes a atheist. So anyways, this is how birth is. Now, do everyone agree that birth is difficult? It is difficult, right? Next, death. Now, Shastra says at the time of death, the pain is equal to 40,000 scorpions stinging together, right? And those who are devotees of the Lord, chanting the holy names, for them it is said that they don't have to go through this pain. Why? Because for the devotees, naturally the attachment is very less. More the attachment, more pain. We'll just take one simple example. Say for example, our grandmother's mother died. Will we cry more? No. Because why? The attachment is very, very less. But at the same time, our own parents, our father or mother dies. How difficult it is. And at the different stages of life is also it is different. Say when we are 10 years old or 20 years old, when our parents die, it is very, we become shaken. It is very much difficult. But at the same time, we have our family, we have grown up children, we are already 40, 50. At that time, our parents are very, very, very old. She is already bedridden. During that time, if someone dies, she is already struggling from 2-3 years. Will we feel bad? Yeah, we will feel bad, but not too much. Sometimes we ourselves will pray, oh Lord, she is struggling. Why don't you take her? Right? Because the attachment, it all depends on the attachment. When grandmother's mother dies, we are not much worried. But our own parents who die, we have that strong attachment. So more the attachment, more the pain. So 40,000 scorpions here Shastra says, it can be more than that also, but it can be less than that also, it can be nil also. It depends on us. So our goal is to be non-attached. So which means, how to do that? How can we, as human beings, our natural tendency is to get attached to something. We cannot stop our attachment altogether, but we can refocus our attachment. When we try to focus our attachment towards Krishna, then our attachment towards material things gets reduced. A simple example which I already gave. When the same person which is in 20 years old, he has lot of attachment towards his father and mother. But the same guy, when he comes at the 30, he gets married, he gets wife, he gets children. So what happens? The attachment towards the parents is reduced because he's got new relationships towards the baby, towards the wife. So what happens? Because his attachment is refocused on someone else, the attachment towards the parents is reduced, right? Similarly, when your attachment is towards Krishna, then your attachment towards the material activity is automatically reduced. So then you are completely aloof from your material activities. So that way, when devotees leave their body, they always attain the Supreme Lord. So this is about death. Old age. Old age I need not tell. No, it is so difficult. And two ways to know it. One is we have to become old. Second one is you can talk to people who are old. They have money. They are mentally very young. They want to do so many activities, but their body is not cooperating. They also want to enjoy life, but they are not able to walk. They are not able to sit. It is so difficult. Sometimes they are in such a pathetic condition that they feel that why am I struggling? Why don't Lord take me away? Why don't I die, leave my body? It is such a difficult situation. Next is disease, and it is painful and sometimes deadly that it can take our life also. So Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. It always gives you dukkha, miseries. Nobody can tell that these four things are very, very nice. So this is why these four things are considered as a punishment. So these are the four common problems in our life. Everyone will go through this. Whether it is the topmost Bill Gates, whether it is the Prime Minister of India, whether it is a beggar in the street, whether it is, and Krishna not only stops here, he is saying not only in this world, even the topmost earthly planet starting from Brahma Bhuvana Loka, starting from Lord Brahma, even the demigods will have to undergo birth and death. So if somebody says that, okay, I will go to heavenly planets and enjoy there, nobody can stay in heavenly planets permanently, because the Lord of the heavenly planets, Lord Indra himself has death, Lord Brahma himself has death. So right now Brahma's age is 51 years old. He's in his 51st year. So even Brahma dies. But anyways, earthly calculations are very different from their calculations. So that is why Krishna here says, what he says here, from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are the places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So Krishna here says 2-3 things. He says the entire material world is under birth and death. So you have to look beyond. And how beyond? He says, attain my abode, the Vaikuntha planets, the spiritual world. It is said that this entire creation, 75% of the Lord's creation is spiritual world, the Vaikuntha Lokas, Krishna Lokas, Goloka Vrindavana, and only 25% of it is the material world. And what is separating the material world and spiritual world is the Kshirodaka ocean, which is also known as Viraja river. So that is where Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu lies. So it is separating, or I think, sorry, it is not Kshirodaka Sai, it is Karnodaka Sai Vishnu. It is he is lying in the ocean of Karana, in the Karana ocean, which is also called as Viraja river. So this material world and spiritual world is separated from this through this Viraja river. And when someone attains the Supreme Lord, he has to cross this river, and once he crosses this river, he gets a new body. He gets a spiritual body and then attains the Supreme Lord. Okay. So yeah, any places in this material world, it is the place filled with misery. Sometimes we may think that we might have goals. Oh, America, the standards of living is so nice, so better. Let me go and live to the US, or let me go to Switzerland. It is so nice. There is not much of traffic like Bangalore. People are not crowded, and there is a nice salary. They think all these things. Yes, the standards of living are little bit high, but these places does not guarantee you permanentness. Even these places also have the birth and death. You could have seen during COVID time, such a big country like India controlled it better, but the US, such a developed country, there were a lot of people who died there. So similarly, that way only, even in this material world, when you see the topmost planets like heavenly planet, Brahmaloka, all those things could be little bit, some extra, you will get some extra cushion there. But anyways, you will have to come back to this material world. So that is why Krishna says, better you come to me so that you don't return back. Okay, so this is from Shloka 9 to 22. So we saw how one can remember Krishna, and that is by constant engage of devotional service. When we do that, when we will attain the Supreme, otherwise we will stuck up in this jail, which is the material world. And the last part, shloka 23 to 28, it's a conclusion. This talks about the importance of devotion. Right, we will just go through the shlokas. Shloka 24. Agnir Jyotir aha shuklaha san shanmasa uttarayanam tatra prayata gachanti brahma brahma vido janaha. Translation: those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. Now this is, and I will read out the next shloka as well, translation of next shloka. The mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet but again comes back. Here Krishna gives the destination of one who leaves his body at 2 different times and circumstances. This is mainly for the yogis and jnanis who follow the Ashtanga yoga process and all, right. So here Krishna says the yogis and jnanis who follow the indirect method of devotional service, so for them to attain the Supreme, they will have to leave at the right time. They will have to leave their body or die during the right time. All these time, place, circumstances should come into place. Only then they will be able to attain the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, it will be a failure. They will come back again. What Krishna says here, those who know the Supreme Brahman attain the Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery god in the light. So it is said that somebody who dies during the daytime, especially during the morning hours, it is said that it is very auspicious, it is very mangalam. Somebody who is during the light at an auspicious moment of the day, for example on some good days during this Ekadashis and other things, it is very good. And during the fortnightly, here they have used the word Uttarayanam. So what is Uttarayanam? Uttarayanam means, see, basically 1 year is divided into 6 months, 6 months, Uttarayanam and Dakshinayanam. Uttarayanam is the time when the Supreme Lord wakes up, is awake, and Dakshinayana is the time where Supreme Lord goes to sleep. So it is understood that all these heavenly doors and heavenly planets are opened, and during this Uttarayana time is about to start. Now our Mokshada Ekadashi, during this December-January time, the Uttarayana opens, and it is said that people who pass during the 6 months, and that is why you see in Mahabharata Bhishma Dev was lying down in the bed of arrows. He was actually waiting for Uttarayana to start so that he can leave his body, right? Because it is said to be an auspicious moment, right? So the yogi has to wait for all these things. He has to pass during the daytime. It has to be Uttarayana time. It has to be an auspicious time. So is it under our control? Nothing is under our control. Maybe even if one is not possible in this thing, he has to again come back. That is why Krishna says. And then he says, the mystic who passes away during the smoke, somebody who passes away during the smoke, dark, during the night, and during the Dakshinayana, he will reach the moon planet. He cannot attain the Supreme Lord. He will reach the moon planet, Chandraloka. So it's not like our Neil Armstrong or someone like that. No, you cannot. You will permanently reach there. So you can see the moon god. You can live your life there. And after some time he has to come back again. He says, that's what Krishna says. He reaches the moon planet but comes back again. Now these are the regulations for the yogis. Yogis has all these rules and regulations. That's the problem with following this indirect method. It has so much of rules and regulations. Even in the previous chapters we saw so many things, right? He has to sit in one place, he has to meditate, he has to close his eyes, look into the tip of the nose, sit on the deer skin, so many rules and regulations. That is why Krishna in the end he says you go to the direct method, devotional service. And these two the process is for the yogis. Now let us see what Krishna says for the bhaktas. The bhaktas need not worry. He says, Vedeshu yagneshu tapashu chaiva Dhaneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvam idam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end he reaches the supreme eternal abode. So it is said that one who engages in devotional service, he doesn't have to worry about performing sacrifices separately. He doesn't have to worry about performing austerities separately. He doesn't have to worry about giving charity or pursuing some philosophical and fruitive activities. He doesn't have to worry or do all these things separately at all. The results of all these things are automatically imbibed by a person who does devotional services. So which means, if he does, this Rajnikant says, right, I oru thadava sonna nooru thadava sonna madri. If I tell one time, it is equal to 100 times. Like that, if you do this one activity of devotional service, everything is included equally. You get all the benefits, and that is what Krishna ends here. He says simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these. At the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. Krishna says he reaches, so he doesn't have to worry about whether I die in the day or whether I die. A devotee need not worry about whether he dies in the day or night or during Dakshinayana or Uttarayana, or whether he dies during Ekadashi or Amavasya. Anything, whatever, everything associated with the devotee is Mangalam, is auspicious. That is what Krishna says. And what is this direct method of devotional service? And that is possible only by chanting the holy name of the Lord, which is the recommended process in the age of Kali. So by chanting, by reading books, by reading the Bhagavadgita, Bhagavatam, by coming to Satsanga, by taking prasadam, we saw that ABCD formula: A for association, Satsanga; B for reading books, C for chanting, D for taking Krishna prasada. So like this, when we engage each and every moment in our life, whatever activity we do, when we connect to the Supreme Lord to those activities, that is what is called as Krishna consciousness. Right now we are all in Maya consciousness, right? We are serving the Maya, or we are just in body consciousness, just wasting too much of time on today what color dress if I should put. If I am putting this color dress, then what color should my hair be? If my hair is this color, then what color should my nails be? If my dress color is this, then what should my shoe colors be? Should I wear that one or this one? Yes, for the maintenance of body, a few things are necessary, but we should not become too much body consciousness. Rather, we have to, Krishna is saying, you do your activity, but become Krishna consciousness. So it is, we might do anything we achieve in this material world is like a zero. We can become a big educated person, it's a zero. We can become a very powerful person, it is a zero. We can have a lot of followers, it is a zero. When will all these zeros have a value? When it has a 1 at the extreme left, right? Otherwise you can keep on adding so many number of zeros, it will just add up and the whole value is still 0. Only when this 1 is there at the right, left, that is when all these values add up. And this one is like Krishna. When we have Krishna in our life, when we keep him as the center of our life, and then keeping him in the center when we focus our life and do activities, keeping him in the center, that is when our life will add more meaning to it. And the starting step to that is by chanting the holy names of the Lord. By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We will definitely attain the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? So last week we announced that this month is a very, very auspicious month. So it's a Gita Jayanti month. Actually, this Ekadashi, which is going to come on 11th, which is on Wednesday, was the day where Gita was spoken. So it is a very, very important day, and if possible, whoever has time can try to at least only the shlokas. full, all the 700 shlokas you all can try to read out from the Bhagavad-Gita. It's a very, very important day, and any devotional activity done especially on Ekadashi is 1000 times multiplied. So how many of you has not yet followed Ekadashi?